Hi, welcome to Caroline's Crash Course. My name is Caroline. I'm an alcoholic. Hello, Caroline. Hi, everybody. Let's open this meeting with a moment of silence, followed by the Serenity Prayer. God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. Amen. Okay, so this is only one person's perspective, okay? It's mine. Take what works and leave the rest. Comments are welcome. Personal sharing can be sent to my email, meetgodwithme@gmail.com. Workbooks are available upon request. We're starting step 9 today. Yay, we love that. Today's profile is just talking about the amends process, and let's just get right into it. So we say this profile for step 9 says, making direct amends must be done under the supervision of a sponsor or advisor. Very important. Not everyone on the list of harms will need direct contact. Please heed that warning. In Stan's case, making direct amends would be treacherous because of the potential to further destroy the marriages of those involved. Remember Stan from last week? Yeah. He had a little issue with some sexual misconduct, sexual immorality. To talk to the husbands or contact the women would be disastrous to the possibility of their moving past the harm already done. To avoid injuring these people on Stan's list, his sponsor and counselor agreed that his amends to these women and their husbands would be to have no contact by email, phone, or in person. In other words, not at all. He would have to make living amends by learning to treat women as people, not objects of his pleasure. Present here are defects of ego, arrogance, and devaluing. You don't even have to have sexual misconduct or sexual immorality to be a man who treats women like crap, okay? We all know somebody. This meant that he would have to change his behavior around all women as part of his recovery, if he wants to recover. It also meant that he would have to accept any consequences that came his way. He would have to accept any consequences that came his way if any of these women filed suit or if their husbands retaliated in some way. You be careful, Stan. This is a repercussion of your actions. The direct amends would be to Stan's wife and children, because they needed direct expression of his sorrow over his behavior for their own healing. Besides a direct verbal statement to his wife, he would also have to make living amends to her. He must learn to treat his wife with more respect, honor, and value, to let her know how important she is to him by his words and behaviors. Because you can say lots of nice things, Stan, but they don't mean anything until your actions change. Your behavior has to change, Stan, okay? For his children, Stan would have to verbally admit his wrongs, depending on how much they knew about the affairs, and also to commit himself to model a healthy marriage in everyday life with their mother. Listen, you make amends to your children by making amends to their parent. Like, hello. Step 9 sounds very exacting, but it is the beginning of a lifetime of changed behavior. How many times have we said that already? Like Stan, we must be willing to continually amend our attitudes and actions with everyone. The verbal admission of guilt and request for forgiveness must be followed by a changed heart and mind. Oh, that's not what it says, but that's what I'm saying. A changed heart and changed treatment of those we have harmed. Hello. It's not enough to say you're sorry. You have to feel sorry, and you have to be different. Step 9. We made direct amends to such people wherever possible, except when to do so would injure them or others. In step 9, we put into practice the principles of the first 8 steps: powerlessness, restoration to sanity, surrender, inventory of wrongs, willingness, and seeking help. To all this, we add making amends. The word amend means to change. Okay? If it's not changed, it's not amended. This is not an apology step or groveling self-humiliation. Instead, it is admitting to the people we have wronged that we know and understand the pain we have caused, and that we are committed to changing our behavior so that we will avoid causing any more pain. I have a note here that I wrote. It says, if you're not committed to change, please, if you're decent, just leave them alone. I have some experience. This step is about direct amends wherever possible, so we will go to these people personally or write them a letter. When we are face to face with these people, we need to have the previous steps, principles at work in us to be able to accomplish our goal. Why would we put ourselves at such risk of exposure and shame? Step 9 offers us the opportunity to become free from the past. How free do you want to be? We can heal our relationships with others, with God, and with ourselves. In Genesis 33, 1 through 11, we see this step in action as Jacob offered financial amends to his brother Esau by sending flocks of livestock before they met face to face. And we're going to read that shortly. He was totally fearful of Esau's reaction to seeing him again after all the deception and thievery Jacob had practiced at Esau's expense. You guys, you gotta read the story about Jacob and Esau. Jacob had to experience being deceived himself before he gained enough humility to recognize his faults. I'm going to say that again real slow. Jacob had to experience being deceived himself before he gained enough humility to recognize his faults. He was not able to feel bad or see that he did anything wrong until he was hurt the same way that he hurt his brother. The positive, healing outcome, I don't understand why there's a comma there. The positive healing outcome of this relationship was years in the making. Years, okay, it takes time. In the same way, we have been through the pain of addiction, and now we are on a path of recovery that takes time. We must be willing to accept whatever response we are given. She has a complaint. Put it in the basket, okay? We must be willing to repair and resolve whatever has broken down in the relationship, even if the other rejects our offer to do so. As with Jacob, our willingness to go the extra mile is part of the spirit of step 9. So we're not just like saying we're sorry and fixing the damage. We're going the extra mile. We're adding on, right? We've been takers this whole time. Now we're going to be giving, and you got to give a little extra. It's like interest, okay? Interest is accrued over time if you don't pay your debt, right? The gifts Jacob sent to Esau were part of making restitution for the injury he had done and an expression of humility for his wrongs. In step 9, we also become more realistic about ourselves and clean our side of the street, so to speak. When we are willing and open, God seems to give us a nudge to remind us of past promises on which we have not followed through. We may have damaged others' trust in us. We may have had extensive intentions, yet we can show no tangible evidence of those big plans and ideas. Listen, there's nothing worse than saying you're going to do something and not ever doing it. Accountability and integrity go a long way with most humans. David had the experience of remembering an unfulfilled promise, as recorded in 2 Samuel 9 1 through 9. Like David, we need reminders of promises we have left unfulfilled. Step 9, yeah, because it's just accountability and doing what you say you're going to do. Again, having integrity, right? You're just being a decent person. Just be a decent person. Okay, that's all we're asking. Step 9 gives us the assignment of remembering and acting on this. Making direct amends wherever possible really challenges us to take opposite action from what our addictive personality would do automatically. So we're praying for a pause. We're pausing when agitated or doubtful. I know we're not there yet. That's more like step 10 stuff, but this is the process that you have to go through to have that filter installed, the pause installed, right? I've talked about the pause button. I have one, but it needs some maintenance, right? Addictive behavior would be to cover up, hide, and avoid seeing anyone who might be angry with us or upset by our actions. Right, so as God's people, we don't hide. We're not crawling before anyone. We're not groveling, right? We stand on our own 2 feet. And we are courageous and we admit our wrongs. Jesus challenges us in the Sermon on the Mount. So if you are presenting a sacrifice at the altar, we read this last week, in the temple, and you suddenly remember that someone has something against you, leave your sacrifice there at the altar. Go and be reconciled to that person. Then come and offer your sacrifice to God. God cares more about your reconciliation with his other kids than any like sacrifice you could give him. Like if he knows you're coming with a guilty conscience, I don't know how to explain that. Disregard. Then, okay, so when you are on the way to court with your adversary, settle your differences quickly. Otherwise, your accuser may hand you over to the judge, who will hand you over to an officer, and you will be thrown into prison. That's from Matthew 5:23-25. Jesus knew that if there was a broken relationship with resentment on one or both sides, we are not spiritually free to worship God. Listen, Jesus is telling us that if there is a broken relationship with resentment on one or both sides, we're not spiritually free to worship God. We are bogged down by guilt. Our channel to God is choked up with the fear, resentment, self-pity, anger, frustration, despair, all those. The hideous horsemen, right? Terror, bewilderment, frustration, despair. The harmed person could also put that resentment into action and create a great pain for us in retaliation. Yeah, oh man. Because people hurt. Hurt people. Okay? If someone's hurting you, they are hurting. Like, we need to be mindful and compassionate. Especially if we caused it. Stop justifying. You can't justify it. Why are you acting like such a turd, you know? Like, well, they're hurting inside. What did you do? That's always the thing I hear in meetings. Well, what did you do? Like, when someone comes to me with a complaint about a person or something, or like somebody has hurt them in some kind of way, my first reaction would be like, what did you do? Like, how, like they were provoked in some way. It might not have been you, but let's take a look at that. Like, were they provoked by you? Anyway, the harmed person, okay, we said that. In other words, spiritual and physical bondage are the consequences of harming others with no attempt to repair it. When we learn to set right, to the best of our ability, the situations in which we have caused hurt, and here's a recipe sentence, we love those, actually change our behavior to stop the harmful results, We are turning from the old addictive pattern to new recovery behavior. Step 9 places an astounding call on our lives to repair our relationships, transform our inner self, and learn a new way of living. In Ezekiel 33:10-16, there is a list of amending actions: to return what is stolen, to obey God's life-giving laws, and stop doing what is evil. Stop it. Stop it. Get some help. When we confront the utter self-centeredness which has motivated these actions, drives, goals, and feelings of our lives, we may be daunted by the enormity of the recovery life. We may wonder whether this new life is really possible for us. That's just, listen, you know me. Is it even possible for me? Yeah, are you just willing to do the work, maybe? Okay, sorry. We may wonder whether this new life is really possible for us. Okay. We may have observed people who have attempted recovery from addiction only to return to drinking, overeating, sexually acting out. We may wonder if continual recovery is possible. Listen, I have a note here. I wrote this. You don't have to like it, okay? My opinion, my experience, don't come for me. The transformation was never complete. You did not complete your house cleaning. You did not change your behavior. Or if you did, you didn't maintain that behavior. And that's why people don't stay sober. Certain compulsive behaviors, I don't know about all that, but what I know for sure about addiction, like actual addiction, not just like chemical dependency, like actually being an addict or an alcoholic, if you have actually worked the steps and you don't stay sober, you did something wrong. Okay? And you need to look at that. Something happened. Something didn't happen that should have happened, right? And you probably know what it is. If you have the capacity to be honest with yourself, you probably know what it is. That's all I'm going to say about that. Our response must be to allow God to do his work in us by surrendering the outcomes and simply taking action. I just did that the other day. I surrendered this outcome to God and just took an action. And I know 100% that the Spirit of Christ was with me because I left that situation where I had to make a choice. The results are not in yet. I'm still waiting for the results, okay? But I took a corrective action and I left that action in the hands of God. And I felt a humble confidence. I did not doubt my decision. And I know 100% that the grace of God was with me. And that is possible for you too. Recovery is possible if we stay the course and take one day at a time. Working the first 8 steps creates a readiness and willingness to assess our past mistakes. Even when this is uncomfortable, you have to look at it, even if it's uncomfortable. So you've never been uncomfortable before? Sorry. Okay. I'm working on my mouth. In step 9, we actually take action to correct them. In Luke 19, 1-9, Zacchaeus came to Jesus and was inspired to take an inventory of himself. He recognized that he had harmed others as a part of being a tax collector for the Roman government. When he realized this, he publicly promised Jesus that he would amend his wrongs and make restitution for them. Jesus commended his attitude and actions as evidence of his spiritual change, i.e., salvation. His spiritual change. There must be evidence of spiritual change. This demonstrates the critical importance of step 9. We are in the process of spiritual development, and making amends is the first public display of our recovery from addiction and sin. The amends process will often present situations that call for financial restitution. How will we respond? Zacchaeus made amends by giving away half of his wealth. I have no idea if I'm saying that name right, by the way, so don't quote me on that. Then he gave more to the people he had cheated face to face. This is an example of direct amends. The person who can make direct amends visibly shows humility. Listen. The person who can make direct amends, are you capable, right? To make direct amends visibly shows humility, compassion, and the realization of his place before God. Do you know your place before God? If you're not humble enough, you won't be able to do this. If you're self-centered, if you're egocentric, if you're filled with this self-serving, dare I say, hedonistic mentality, it's not going to happen. And I promise you, not only will you be separated from God, but you will be isolated in the world. Okay? Salvation comes as we start to think more of others than of ourselves. The amends process is in step 8 and 9. Brings out the unfinished business in our lives. We may discover past traumas that must be faced and dealt with. I have this highlighted. I have a lot highlighted, but this specifically. We may discover past traumas that must be faced and dealt with if we are to maintain our recovery. Some of the hurts that we cause aren't because of the person that we're harming. A lot of them have to do with something that happened before, and we're still feeling it. We're not over that. And it's stuck with us. It has traumatized us in a way that has changed our behavior, right? I'm guilty of that. It's something that I'm constantly working on. We need to talk to our sponsor, counselor, or other trusted advisor, therapist, probably somebody, a specialist maybe, depending on the trauma, so that we are not working with such issues alone. Yeah, don't. Listen, the first inventory I did, I had some severe sexual trauma from my childhood, and the first inventory that I was working on, I had a visceral reaction having to go over some of that stuff and having to make amends for certain misconduct, and it was very, very uncomfortable, very challenging. I had to throw up multiple times just remembering things. Please, please, please do not do this alone. Do not dwell on this forever. Make sure you give yourself a time limit. Oh gosh, there's so much I could say about that. Well, and if you have questions about something specific like that, and you need resources or help with certain traumas that are disabling you from being able to correct the behavior or to feel find contentment or find peace, please let me know. Please, I will find you help, or I can, if it's something that I have experience with. I will 100% disclose any information necessary to help somebody who's suffering. So please let me know. But they must be dealt with and resolved, or they will follow us daily like those ghosts that haunt us, as though we were chained to them. We may not have caused or asked for these traumas to occur, but we may have to make amends to ourselves or others for playing the victim or curtailing our lives as a result of trauma. Okay? Step 9 allows us a new kind of freedom with ourselves, other people, and God. Restoration of relationship with self is an important outcome of step 9. There is no more need to run when we have gone face to face with those we have harmed and sought to make things right with them. Because we're a new person. We're a different person. You're not the same person. Stop acting that way. Stop it. We no longer need to run because the slate is clean. We no longer need to speculate about forgiveness. We have forgiveness. As we allow step 9 to work in our lives, a new set of attitudes begin to emerge. A new set of attitudes. We're different. We're a different person. We're a new creation, okay? Because of the life-changing relationship with God they developed, the first 100 alcoholics to follow the 12 steps found that they could promise these results. We are going to know a new freedom and a new happiness. We will not regret the past, nor wish to shut the door on it. We will comprehend the word serenity, and we will know peace. No matter how far down the scale we have gone, we will see how our experience can benefit others. That feeling of uselessness and self-pity will disappear. We will lose interest in selfish things and gain interest in our fellows. Self-seeking will slip away. Our whole attitude and outlook upon life will change. Fear of people and of economic insecurity will leave us. We will intuitively know how to handle situations which used to baffle us. We will suddenly realize that God is doing for us what we could not do for ourselves. That's a reprint from the Big Book. When we work the 12 steps to the best of our ability, they become realities in our hearts and lives. These are the changes we can expect when we earnestly seek the spiritual structure for life described in the 12 steps. Amen. Oh my God. I love this so much. This is my life. Okay, so day 1. Long awaited healing. Oh my gosh, haven't we waited so long? Our long suffering has found its result. Well, almost. We're working on. We're almost there. Okay, listen. Genesis chapter 33, verses 1 through 11. This is Jacob and Esau, okay? Then Jacob looked up and saw Esau coming with his 400 men. So he divided the children among Leah, Rachel, and his 2 servant wives. He put the servant wives and their children at the front, Leah and her children next, and Rachel and Joseph last. Then Jacob went on ahead. As he approached his brother, he bowed to the ground 7 times before him. So bowing to the ground is a sign of humility. It's a humble action. Then Esau ran to meet him and embraced him, threw his arms around his neck and kissed him, and they both wept. Listen, first he bows to the ground 7 times. First he makes a humble declaration, a visible declaration. Then Esau ran to meet him and embrace him. Then Esau looked at the women and children and asked, "Who are these people with you?" "These are the children God has graciously given to me, your servant." Jacob replied. Then the servant wives came forward with their children and bowed before him. Next came Leah with her children, and they bowed before him. Finally, Joseph and Rachel came forward and bowed before him. "And what were all the flocks and herds I met as I came?" Esau said. Jacob replied, "They are a gift, my lord, to ensure your friendship." "My brother, I have plenty," Esau answered. "Keep what you have for yourself." But Jacob insisted, "No, if I have found favor with you, please accept this gift from me. And what a relief to see your friendly smile. It is like seeing the face of God. Please take this gift I have brought you, for God has been very gracious to me. I have more than enough." And because Jacob insisted, Esau finally accepted the gift. So our reflection, our devotional, whatever, we made direct amends to such people wherever possible, except when to do so would injure them or others. Returning to someone we have hurt is a scary thing. The passing years, lack of communication, and memories of anger and hateful emotional changes can all create tremendous anxiety. Even though we may make some contact through a third party, there will still be tension until we see that person face to face. This was the case for Jacob upon returning to Esau. Then Jacob looked up and saw Esau coming with his 400 men. Then Jacob went on ahead. Esau ran to meet him and embraced him, threw his arms around his neck and kissed him, and they both wept. After being introduced to Jacob's family, Esau asked, "And what were all the flocks and herds I met as I came?" Jacob replied, "They are a gift, my lord, to ensure your friendship." My brother, I have plenty," Esau answered. "Keep what you have for yourself." But Jacob insisted, No, if I have found favor with you, please accept this gift from me. And what a relief to see your friendly smile. It is like seeing the face of God. Please take this gift I have brought you, for God has been very gracious to me. I have more than enough. And because Jacob insisted, Esau finally accepted the gift. Jacob's tremendous fear gave way to relief. The last time Jacob had seen Esau, Jacob was in fear for his life. With the passing of time, both of them had changed. When Jacob faced his brother, he found that there was still affection, even though they both remembered the pain. I'm going to read that one more time, that little part. With the passing of time, both of them had changed. Okay? When Jacob faced his brother, he found that there was still affection, even though they both remembered the pain. Okay? You can remember and contemplate and think about and even talk about the pain, right? But it doesn't mean that you don't still have affection. Okay? It doesn't mean that you have to, of course, but I'm saying it's possible. So, our questions. Question number 1. Wow. Who are the people on my step 8 list who strike the most intense fear in my heart when I think about making amends face to face? Now, no one, but I did put myself. I can be in fear of making amends to myself. But when I was in addiction and like the initial amends that I had to make for the first time, making amends to my twin face to face was very intimidating. Because I want her to like me. And the boss that I had at the time, my employer at the time. Although he and I we had a very good relationship, but still I was just terrified because like and then your financial security is in jeopardy and whatever. 2, do I have supportive people to help me gain willingness to take such a challenging step? Do I have an advisor or sponsor to work with me? Yes, exclamation point. Thank God I've gained true fellowship of the Spirit. And yes, I do have a sponsor and advisor. Okay, wow, that was great. All right, Jesus loves you. I love you. Make it a great day, okay? We're getting so good at this. Well, we're getting so far into this. Don't forget to be kind and extend compassion to yourself and to others, okay? See you tomorrow.